Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting light heavyweight Vinny Magalhaes. Vinny, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, and by the way, that was pretty good with the last name. I'm looking at it right away.
Yes, nailed it. I'm glad you like it. I practiced a lot before I called you, so I'm happy that I said it right. Now, Vinny, the name of the game is really random. That's where I ask you a random question and you give me the real answer. Some of these questions are custom made just for you, and some of these questions are generic ones that I ask all the people I interview. So here's the first question. Superpower you'd love to have?
Superpower like to have? Maybe like, if that's not superpower, then maybe like go back in time, to go back in time. If I had that to had a machine to that, I would definitely like to make that happen.
Favorite movie?
Creed was pretty good. The last one, 3 was pretty good. I really liked it. It's one of the new movies that I'm sure like that, like one of my favorites now. And I can't wait for the second one to come out, because that one was pretty good. And I got all hyped up to even before my fight, so I liked it.
Movie you've seen the most times?
Well, for sure, I have the last like at least like 20 times.
Favorite color?
Green.
Favorite guilty pleasure?
Like eating chicken after every single fight. For about a week.
Go-to song when you're singing in the shower?
I'm not old, brother. I'm not much of a singer. I'm not even a kid, so no one really.
How's your hand?
Right hand's broken. Left hand's like, it's trying to do the job that the right hand does. Doesn't do as well, but yeah, it's bad. I wouldn't say it's bad, and that's a fracture, but it's just more bone, so it should be good like in about 6 weeks.
How exactly did you injure your hand? Is it something that happened in the fight, or was it a pre-existing injury before you fought against Jake Hune, and you got injured during your training camp and just decided to suck it up and fight anyways? How exactly did you hurt your hand?
I don't know. It's a full fracture, so if it was before the fight, I'd probably not even be able to fight. It didn't happen the second round. It just like when it happened, like the play they had, it was when I threw like a kick punch combination. So as I threw the punch, it was more, instead of going like a straight pass with the right hand, I threw kind of like a hook. And I had his head down, so instead of punching me in the face, I punched him in the top of the head, and I felt pumping. But until the end of the round, that's when it started to hurt really bad. But until then, like, when I felt pumping, I just felt like, maybe just like popped the knuckles, something. It was a little weird, but like, until the end of the round, that's when I started to feel it. And then until the end, just like, I pretty much like, right hand I just couldn't even feel. But I had to. At one point, I had to throw the right hand, but it was very, very bad. So it was like there's never much of the fight. It's like halfway to the second. He wasn't like at the beginning of the fight, but we also like wasn't at the very end. But yeah, you gotta deal with that, man.
What exactly is your training looking like right now? Because obviously you have this injury. Are you doing some light training? Are you just focused on coaching right now, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at Syndicate MMA? Are you just kind of taking a little time off to rest your body? What exactly does your training look like right now because of this injury?
I think I just get started, so I haven't trained at all. I'm teaching my classes mostly just like young people what to do instead of like be showing moves and all that. But that's pretty much all I've been doing, just like teaching my class. I can't do much of exercise, but I can get all static and like get the pass flat there now. So until I take that, at least take the pins out, I can do any kind of exercise, not even running or anything.
What's the worst injury you've ever had through fighting? Because a little while back, you had that nasty staph infection that I'm still trying to get over. I'm still a little queasy from that staph infection. That was really nasty. That was really bad. What's the worst injury you've had through fighting?
Yeah, the staph infection was kind of like, that was the first time that I ever got staph like that. And that sucked. But then again, it wasn't like doing fighting or like doing competition or anything. It was like, she does before. Probably the worst injury has to be this one. I know that's the first time that I ever broke something in a fight. Even though, again, it's a small bone, it's nothing major, it's like probably the worst injury like that happened during the fight. I had like an ACL surgery, which was 6 years ago, like in that was a training, and like it was over pretty fast too. Like the doctor said it would take like anything from a year to a year and a half to get fully recovered. And then I pushed really hard in the rehab, and with 8 more months after surgery, was already fighting. So, it's one of those things. Like, he was bad, but, I went by and they said I was already fighting, so he wasn't that bad as I thought he would be. And there's my knees 100%. I have no injuries, like, no injuries at all. But this one at the hand was the first one that I ever got in a fight. And, I felt bad again. I could actually still go through the fight with the injury, but it kind of sucks, especially with being the right hand, which is my dominant hand. I cannot do anything, It's like, to sign a paper, to do anything, it's pretty difficult.
When exactly would you like to fight again? I know right now you're injured and it's probably tough for you to say, but let's say that all things go well, you heal up fine, and they put you on the first card that they can. When exactly would you like to fight next if the stars aligned and you got your pick? When exactly would you like to fight again?
Well, I kind of have a date already to, an idea like when I'm going to be fighting again. It all depends on how fast I'm going to be recovering. I'm going to do I'm going to have to get an X-ray again, see if the bones fully healed. I'm going to have to go to the rehab, and if I get at least 3 months of training camp, then I can get to fight in September. If I can get 3 months before September, if now I'm just going to fight in October. But it's either one of those 2 events for the World Series, and I'm excited for the title. So I already had the talk with Ray Safford, so I'm telling David Branch. But it all depends on when I'm going to be ready to go. I kind of get in a 5-round fight with less than 3 months, training camp. So it all depends how fast my hand's going to get moving up.
Is it set in stone that your next fight will be a title fight?
It is. It's real. There's no contract signed. It's kind of true to make that happen, but it's set. I'm set for the title. Here's the thing: if Branch says here's the thing that I hear. It's nothing official. Until I can put that this is down on paper. It's not official, but the thing from what I hear, if Branch decides not to defend the title by then, he's going to have to up the title. Then I'm going to be fighting somebody else for the vacant title. That's not a go, though. It's most likely I'm fighting David Branch.
Are you serious about dropping to middleweight to fight David Branch if he won't come up to 205 and fight you for the light heavyweight belt? Are you considering dropping down to 185? Because I've heard this in the past. Is this for real?
It's not even, I have different ideas. Actually, I took that for the World Series, I have 2 more fights left. Here's the thing, my goal is to get the lightweight fight, that's my weight class. After that fight, when I'm done, I'm expecting to go there and do David Branch. So I go there, I get him, then I believe that, since he's at 2 divisions, he's like an always being like, been for a little while. Likely going to want a rematch. So if he wants a rematch, that's the weight class below, so that way I get a chance of getting 2 belts, but I'm not giving a rematch as a light heavyweight. So that way I get a chance of getting 2 belts. Not the case, nothing against him, but it's just one of those things, it's basically his adaptation has 2 belts, so I'm going to get the same. Then if they're going to make middleweight, which is sure good enough for me to make that cut, I'll call the heavyweight champion, so I can do light heavy and heavyweight, so for me, I just want to make sure I get 2 belts.
Is your main goal in fighting right now to go after championship belts? Because I always hear you talking about going after the belt and you only want to fight the champion and stuff like that, because obviously in the past you had the M1 light heavyweight belt and you had the Titan FC light heavyweight belt, and I know you want to add the World Series of Fighting light heavyweight belt, and I guess from what you've said in the past you want to add the World Series of Fighting middleweight belt to your collection. Is that your main goal right now, to go after belts? And a second part to that question, there's a lot of guys out there who say that they don't care about belts. There's a lot of guys who say that they only care about making money or fighting the top guys or fighting the best guys. First part of the question, is your main goal going after championship belts? And second part of the question is, do you think those guys who say that belts don't matter to them, do you think those guys who say that are lying?
I believe that the best guys have the belt. This is unified. The best guy unifies for the belt. The guy with the belt, you're the best guy. So it's like, just fighting the best guys. You want to fight the best guys, you might want to fight the very best guy, which is the guy who has the belt. So, I think both things go together. People say they don't want a belt. Like maybe they're going to lose to get a belt. And I think that goes more to that fight than anything else. But if you talk about saying the best guys, it means that the best guys are the guy who has the belt. So that's what I'm going after. But, it's maybe not that best guy, I have the belt. So.
Should you win a World Series of Fighting championship belt, whether it's the 205 belt or the 185 belt, regardless of what belt, it really doesn't matter for the sake of the question. But my question to you is, what are the chances of you taking a picture of the World Series of Fighting belt on your toilet?
In terms of what's great, that's just promotion, here's a different of the World Series, I would never do that, But it also depends, if you shoot me well, there's no such thing as to do on that night, but, if they didn't shoot me well, then you're never going to. So far, I only had an issue with one promotion, which was even the promotion was a person acting a promotion, and then I had to do those things, but, since then, I haven't had any issue with anybody else, so I just used to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm. I understand. I was just teasing you. But whatever happened to the M1 light heavyweight belt? Did you have to give that back when you left M1, or did they let you keep it?
No, there's nothing in the contract saying that I had to return the belt, so, I kept the belt. I never asked for it and the belt back. I mean, I did it pretty well, but I think there was a little conversation about returning the belt. But since there's nothing in the contract saying that I had to return the belt, I just kept it.
If I show up to one of your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes that you're teaching, what are the chances that you teach me Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu while wearing the Titan FC light heavyweight belt? What are the chances of that happening?
Actually, I did worse, but that was when I was shooting the
That's what I was referring to. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I like that.
Yeah, they asked us to do all kind of with the sunglasses and all that. Yeah, the sunglasses might make it look a little douchey, but
Yeah, I like that. I laughed out loud. That was really funny. Serious business now. If it is Dave Branch that you fight next, what are your thoughts about his skill as a fighter?
I'll be honest, on the left card, both of us on the same card. I didn't think it performed my best. I should go to win. Then I guess I didn't say anything about David, I feel like he didn't perform his best. There was nothing enough things that didn't work impressive. Not in my opinion, some other people had in the certain view, and that's why they saw something else. It didn't seem impressive. But then, before they got Nishino coming, he looked great, And Nishino coming was a bigger name than Quickly Stars. It's a much more accomplished fighter than Quickly Stars. And he did it really well against Nishino. So it's one of those things, it's hard to judge by one fighter and another. I think overall he's a good fighter. But I believe that I've also fought guys, that are better than him. I'll name a couple guys who are extra lost, but I just fought him. I fought Ryan Maiden, the top ranked guy these days. I fought him in the beginning of his career, but still the top ranked guy. I fought Phil Davis when he was at the number 8 in the division in the UFC, and he's still one of the best light heavyweights in the world these days. It's not about who it's fought. I've stepped down in a cage to be some of the best guys in the world, and it's almost like there's method I haven't seen yet. But it's you can just say, well, it should be the fight. I don't care about what he's going to bring. I have to be careful, especially when it comes to striking, because the guys are all sides, either from my side or his side, get a good hit, then hurt somebody. So it's one of those things. I don't think it brings anything special, but it's tough. I don't bring my best game if I don't find the best I can. It's a risky fight, but I believe in my skills. Just that before anything as a grappler. And when it comes to that, I'm a much better grappler than him, so I feel like it's a good fight.
Why did you decide to go to World Series of Fighting? Because a lot of people out there were surprised when the news broke that you had signed with WSOF, because a lot of people thought that you'd just stay with Titan FC, defend the belt maybe 2 or 3 more times, and then possibly go back to the UFC or sign with Bellator, because right now Bellator's light heavyweight division is nasty. They got guys like Liam McGeary and Rampage and King Mo, Emmanuel Newton, Phil Davis, Linton Vassell, Brian Rogers, Alessio Sakara, Francis Carmont, Tito Ortiz, Virgil Zwicker. The list goes on and on of great light heavyweight fighters that Bellator currently has on their roster, and there were a lot of interesting matchups for you in Bellator. If you decided to go in that direction, you would have been a very good addition to their light heavyweight roster, but you decided against that, and you decided to sign with World Series of Fighting. Why exactly did you choose World Series of Fighting over just staying in Titan and eventually, after a couple more fights, deciding between UFC and Bellator? Why World Series of Fighting?
It was really fighting. Like, actually, like, I was really talking with Bellator in the World Series. The thing is, like, let's just come up with numbers like, much deeper than Bellator. And I just, like, need to get changed in minutes. Because, like, at that point, I had to so long. So, like, I just wanted to make sure I had something signed and I had a fight booked right away. And I didn't want to be dealing with, like, issues and, like, take more time for me to fight. And, my plus, I got some with World Series, like, it's a pretty different contract. Like, besides, like, what the one I had with the UFC, it's like, it was, at that point, it was nothing to get anything better somewhere else. And, as a matter of fact, I think that just, like, some numbers just came out from like, some information like this, like, for this last fight. It was not even the real numbers. Like, contracts are completely different than what it says. So, I'm saying, like, I had been on a different country with what it says, and there's no reason for me to be actually going anywhere else. And maybe, like, more than that thing. A lot of guys are going to the UFC with your fight, so it's not even, for me, there's not even like this company I'm attention with World Series. And then again, I was like going back to the UFC, if I didn't win World Series, I'm going to be locked in a contract. When I did that, I wasn't really thinking about UFC, so I'm still like not thinking about UFC, My whole thing is to finish my contract, make myself like more valuable, and then maybe think about where I'm going to go. If it's UFC, if it's Bellator, if it's to just stay with World Series, I'm not even thinking about that at all. I should have just that's not for the time, which could have changed everything as far as like, like my paycheck. So like, there's no reason to be thinking about like UFC right now. UFC, like, when I was 23, which was when I got into UFC for the first time, you were speech to me, I'm a UFC fighter, and you were speech to like, fight with the status, like, being a UFC fighter. Nowadays, I got to think the financial side of it. Be fighting in the UFC for like 20, it's not worth it. It's just, they're fighting the biggest promotion in the world, like, which, they're going to be going to have the best fighters in the world, and they're making over 20 fighting like 2 to 3 times a year, and they're making anything. So, especially not being able to get sponsors. So, it's one of those things, and like, it's not about the stars anymore, it's about, like, how much I'm going to be getting paid. I made some see those things, but like, there's guys, for example, like, his last fight, even to where he was a player, he was like 65 to shoot plus fight away. $65,000, like, he's never make that kind of money in your shit, ever. So for me, it's like, well, I did that bad, and I'm going to get myself in those numbers, so why would I be me? Why would I be going somewhere else?
You were scheduled to participate in the EBI 6 tournament, but now because of your hand injury, you were forced to pull out of that event, and you will no longer be fighting at EBI 6. Are you disappointed that you won't be a part of that tournament?
Yeah, that totally sucked, like, not just that, like, I was supposed to be actually, like, this week I was supposed to be in Australia for, like, a series of seminars, too, so I had to postpone the seminars for June. EBI, I had to pull out. Same night, actually, like, as soon as I went to see the doctor, I just, like, texted her, it was, I mean, EBI, man, like, a big my hand. I didn't even wait to see the x-ray or anything. You could just see the bone, like, just, like, not sticking out, but, like, you could have seen the hand was broken. Yeah, finally I got an x-ray, and it was really broken, but, yeah, it was a little close for, this month I was supposed to be having, like, a pretty busy month with the fight, seminars and the EBI, but now, like, pretty much just sitting at home, like, to do my class, and that's it. But, kind of sucks, man. It's not just for me, like, actually, I've been, like, still, like, following the news on EBI, and, first with Cyborg, then after Andre, and myself, then a couple of days later, do some backed out, too, so it's like, basically all the big names, all the champions like backed out. So you can't just be right in the EBI that they had before. Which was pretty good for like a super good event, but like it kind of took out the big for what it was supposed to be.
Even though you're no longer competing at that event, are you going to be watching on UFC Fight Pass?
That's what's for sure. Watch it. It should be good, I want to watch it too, like, so I can learn more about the rules and like see what some of these guys are going to be doing. Like, who knows, maybe I can get in the next month.
Hobbies outside of fighting?
I have a family, so like, mostly, like, I think I spend more time like with my kids, like, like, pretty much, with my son playing video games. So really forced to be playing with any stores, so that's pretty much it. I don't like to go out much or anything like that, so. I like to just try to spend like a little vacations here and there. Like my goal, like for my plan actually for after this fighting was to go to Cancun for like a week and just like chill out for a little bit. But then again, broke my hand, so like Cancun will also like playing some guy. To post out for later, and pretty much it. Like, you know, it's not like I'm going out on a vacation. Like I just stay home. I don't have like a lot of hobbies.
Celebrity people say you look like.
I don't really do like that actually. I think I look like anybody. Just look like myself.
Favorite food?
Sushi. Sushi's like my favorite. And cheese, like a chicken meal is probably like Taco Bell. Like I said before, you know, probably do for about a week after the fight.
Least favorite food?
Least favorite? Let me see here. I don't have one. I actually, I can't eat anything, but I don't have like least favorite food. Yeah, because least favorite actually probably gets me sick the most. You know, I've been eating vegan food since I was a kid, so it's something I don't crave much, and I can get like, you know, I can get tired of it pretty quick. So there's no food probably something that I like least now.
Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? Any Japanese restaurant. I kind of taste the same anyway, so.
Favorite band and or solo artist?
Solo artist, or kind of like Tupac. I think that's it. I don't know if it's a band or anything like that. Tupac was actually the guy who actually taught me English indirectly with his lyrics. So you can probably imagine how bad my English was when I first started like speaking English with all the like slangs and all that.
Favorite TV show, and it can be a show currently on the air or a show no longer on the air, just overall favorite TV show.
I don't watch TV that much, you know. Every time I watch TV is just to watch a movie, but now like, I don't have like a TV show. Whenever TV is to watch a movie or to watch like, you know, games, like mostly soccer games, but nothing like, you know, no TV shows at all.
Besides fighting, what are you passionate about?
Overall, I think the first family, like I think fighting is like taking big part of my life, you know, it keeps me out as coaching, you know, like, it sucks that I know that part of my process comes off a little bit when I have a fight coming up because I have to focus on myself. But, you know, if I don't have a fight coming up, man, I love teaching. It's one of those things that, you know, I look to the progress of my students, I love the improvement, so it's like, it's something that for sure I'll be doing, like, you know, it's not just because it's not the only option I have. It's something that I just love, like, you know, doing it just because I like next to, like, you know, helping people, like, how, you know, doing TV, so I like teaching probably the next second like favorite thing.
Do you have any pre-fight rituals or superstitions?
Not at all. I don't know, it's just like, you know, just like funny, you know, those things like for me, that's not really like part of my nature. I don't have one. Really. You know, I kind of go through all the same ritual warm ups. They could be a ritual, I don't know. They could be. I was trying to go through the same warm ups, you know, like the breathing, like solid work, some breathing techniques. Really like that. I haven't put like too much like that. I just do it.
Do you have any post-fight rituals?
Like I said, the diet just to go scrap, you know, just eat whatever I want. That could be considered like a post-fight ritual.
If you could stay one age forever, how old would you stay and why?
Well, I would say 31, 32, which is like, you know, about to turn. Because people, at least that's what people say, that's your prime, as far as like, you know, when you become a man, like, you know, that men's strength and all that. And you're not sure, but you're also not super young, so I would say that age, this is the perfect age right now. If I could just stay that, I would do that.
If you could trade places with anyone in the world for a week, who would you trade places with and why?
Nobody really, you know. Like, if I could trade, like, maybe like trade bank accounts, I would do with a lot of people, but trade places, like, nobody really. I like to enjoy my life, so I like the lifestyle of it. But now, maybe change like bank accounts. Then you can go like with whoever you want, but I'm doing that.
Best part about Las Vegas?
Well, honestly, that's not the strip, and just a beautiful application, beautiful clips and all that. But, you know, since I'm like married, got kids, things change, so I felt my house was the best part of Las Vegas. And the gym, that's where I get my workout and I get to see my friends and all that. But I don't go out much, man. Like, Vegas is actually a fun place. It's a fun place for you to visit, but once you live here, it's your place over there's not much to do. But just coming from me because, like, you know, I'm always training, just like from everybody that lives here, when you talk, it's always the same thing. People say the same thing, you know. When you're just visiting Las Vegas, when you live here, there's not a whole lot to do.
Your two kids, What are their names and what are their ages?
Vitor, he's 5, and Nicole, she's gonna come through next week, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday to her.
Thanks, man. Yeah, she's almost like speaking all kind of like words of English and Portuguese in school.
Your English is very, very good. You know, you've been here shorter than some Brazilian guys who don't speak nearly as well as you do in English. You know, there's some guys, you've been here for a very long time, like 12 or 13 years or something like that, but your English is very, very good. In your house, do you speak English or do you speak Portuguese?
Yeah, like, you know, with my wife, like, she's Brazilian too, so, like, most of the time we just speak Portuguese. Actually, all the time we just speak Portuguese. But, with my kids, it kind of mix it up a little bit. With my son, like, sometimes, most of the time, I speak with him in English, because he's going to school, too, so it's kind of, like, he can used to, like, talk to the other kids and all that. But, both my kids, they learn Portuguese first, you know, just because, like, you know, my mom just speaks Portuguese. My wife's parents are living in Vegas as well, and, they speak Portuguese with them, but, they learn English just by watching TV and things like that, so you didn't have to spend time teaching them, you know. But, I know that mostly Portuguese.
If you weren't a pro fighter, what would your job be?
Well, I'll probably be veterinary, because that's what I found that I was always into. And to be honest, that's something that I might end up doing. You know, I'm thinking about going to school for that school, like, after I'm done fighting. You know, I can't say I believe that hopefully I'm still going to have time to teach and just go to that school. That's something that I've always enjoyed since I was a kid, so. And I think, like, you know, to become a veterinary, it's never too late. So even if I start at 35, 36, you know, I can still get my degree and still, like, work with that.
What, quote, real jobs have you worked over the course of your life? What jobs not associated to fighting have you worked?
That's the thing, like, I started teaching jiu-jitsu when I was 20, so. And in Brazil, I didn't get to work at all. I was just training, going to school. So jiu-jitsu was my first job, and it stayed, you know, that's the most I had to do since.
Back on April 2nd, you defeated Jake Hune at World Series of Fighting 30. You won the fight by unanimous decision. Overall, were you pleased with your performance in the fight?
Well, overall, it wasn't bad. Like, you know, my coaches, they got more excited, like, for the fight than I did it myself. That was actually my very first, like, decision win. And if you think about it, well, that's not bad. If this was not a decision loss, which I had 3 or 4, I don't know. So, you know, for the first time I was able to win a decision after going to decision like 3 other times. So it's one of those, like, that would, like, win the lose, but, like, I wasn't really happy because I didn't get the finish. Now, here's the thing. The reason why my coaches were happy was because I was able to pretty much win the fight standing up. It wasn't anything great. It wasn't, like, the most technical fight, but I pretty much won the fight standing up, which, you know, it kind of shows an improvement. But then again, at the same time, I feel like it was a type of fight that I could just have walked in there. And, not, you know, I don't mean to be, like, say that Jake is not a good fighter, but it's a type of fight that I could have just walked in there. If I had it kind of like a full grappling mode, I could have probably finished him. So it's one of those things, not getting a finish, which was for the first time, like, in my career, like, that I got a win without being a finish. It wasn't really, like, you know, pleasant, but overall, I can't complain, you know, like, a win is a win. My coaches were pleased, and the fact that it was a decision was the only thing that upset me. But overall, you know, besides the decision and the hand injury, everything else I think was okay.
Jake Hune, he's a really nice guy. Interviewed him before, really nice guy. Nothing bad to say about him. He's a really good fighter, but let's be honest, he's not as big of a name as you are in this sport, and the only big show that he's fought in during his career is World Series of Fighting, so he doesn't have the big name, and he doesn't have the experience that you do. So going into this fight, were you feeling a lot of pressure? Because obviously, Jake Hune, he failed twice to make it into the Ultimate Fighter house. One of those seasons that he failed to make it into the house was a season that you coached. You were one of the coaches on season 17 of the Ultimate Fighter. You coached on Team Darkside, Chael Sonnen's team, and Jake Hune was one of the guys who lost to get in the house. I believe he was defeated by Adam Sella in the elimination fight to make it in the house, and then he later would go on and not make it into the house on the Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn season of The Ultimate Fighter. So he failed twice to make it onto The Ultimate Fighter. That's a show where you did very well. You made it to the finals of season 8. So here's a guy, doesn't have the big show experience, failed to make it in the Ultimate Fighter house, is not that big of a name. Did you feel a lot of pressure going into this fight? Because a lot of people out there thought that you would win this fight easily, and they were pretty much guaranteeing going into this fight that you'd submit him, because if you look at his record and what he's done in the past, a lot of his losses, if I'm not mistaken, all of his losses really are by submission, and you're one of the best in the business when it comes to submission. So going into the fight, were you feeling a lot of pressure to perform well against Jake Hune?
Me as a fighter, I can never think like that, you know, but the reality is I think that was going through everybody's head, and so it was in my own head. It's almost like I just fought Jason Brills. He was like 25 and 4, something like that when I fought him. You know, the guy was like a 5 or 6 times UFC veteran. I fought Matt Hamill, like, even though, like, you can honestly say that he's way out of the sport, but he's a guy who fought 15 times in the UFC, fought some of the top-ranked guys, you know. So he's a guy with a lot of experience against top names. So I fought 2 guys that are UFC veterans with great record. One of them was with a great record, which was Jason Brills, and it was for a title fight. So now it's like Jake Hune, which is, you know, he's an upcomer, basically. And then again, like I said, wasn't even able to make on the show. Had never fought in the big show besides World Series. He never got to fight in the big show. So it was definitely like, you know, a step down, which was the reason why people were expecting me just to go down and run through the guy. But again, a fight's a fight. Like I said, I believe that I could have made like a much, like, you know, easier fight than he was. But it was one of those things. Like, overall, it was a good experience, but there was not the same motivation factor. You know, it's like, it's cool. Like, I believe that I can beat him standing. Yeah, I believe that I can beat him on the ground. But it's not one of those fights. Fuck, I better take him to the ground. And if I don't take him to the ground, I'm gonna get beat up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, there are fights that I just you're walking like this. You know, I better bring my best. If I don't bring my best, I'm giving a big chance for this guy to win. And during that fight, I didn't have that kind of feeling. You know, it was a mentally it's just as like the other fight. But at the same time, like, I felt like, man, like, on the ground he's gonna beat me, and I just got this feeling out that he's gonna beat me standing either. So it's like, I didn't feel like he had like much to offer, you know. And like I said, you know, you compare to the other names that I've fought, like, I felt like it was a little bit of a step down.
You're currently on a 4-fight win streak with 3 submission victories. In this win streak, you're 2-0 under the World Series of Fighting banner, and you claimed the Titan FC light heavyweight belt in this 4-fight win streak. So you're doing very well. You're looking very great. So what's allowed you to go on this 4-fight win streak?
Definitely, like, you know, I've been improving a lot of my game, like, and it's got better. I have not become like any like world class, like, you know, striker, but you know, I've got a lot more comfortable, like, you know, in the department. My wrestling is not great, but I'll drag somebody down, even if it's just a sloppy way. I'll drag somebody down. If I can take him down, I'm gonna pull guard, but I'm gonna try to take him what I want. I just feel like I've got a lot better, like, even like mentally, you know, like I know what I'm doing there, you know. Before I would just get super nervous. I was like, man, let's see what happens. And you cannot walk into the fight and think, like, let's see what happens. You know, you got to make things happen. See, what I try to do doesn't work the first try. You got to have a plan B. You got to make something work somehow. And but then you have to know what you're doing. It's not just like, let's see if I get lucky with something. No, you got to know what you're doing. And I feel like I'm reaching that level now. Now I know what I'm doing. I can feel when somebody's throwing punch, I need much better. I can see where I'm placing my punch. I can see where I'm placing my kick. So I feel like I'm just getting like a lot more experience, and that's what's making a difference now.
Favorite social media platform?
I used to interact a lot more with people on Twitter. So it used to be my favorite one. I think they're all equal now for me. You know, I'm not checking here and there. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but I'm not huge on social media anymore. I used to spend too much time on it. I used to really, like, you know, get into arguing with people, like, you know, either not argument, just like always like in a defensive way, but sometimes I'd be like talking to people for too long, you know, even like these French people that I didn't know and things like that. I was just, dude, I'm just spending way too much time in front of the computer. So now I check, you know, Facebook probably the one that I check the most, but I'm not huge on being in social media anymore. You know, most of the time, if you look at my Instagram, it's like most of the posts are, you know, about fighting and sponsors and things like that, but it's nothing like, hey, yeah, I'm just eating this burger. Look at this. I just came here with my wife and hanging out outside. So, you know, I'm not being like random posts anymore. most of the stuff now directed to my, career or something like that.
Website you visit most often?
I don't know, I do check, Fight Matrix. I feel like they do have a little, legit ranking system, because they do, based on, who these guys fought, how busy they stay, finishing rates and all that. So I feel like the ranks are pretty cool. But I think it's the one that I check the most as far as, in the website, which there's no news in it. I always just check to see, where I'm ranked right now.
Mm-hmm. Piece of technology you can't live without?
Cell phone, man. Even though, I'm not huge, on be posting on social media, I'm always checking stuff. Especially, I just go through my timeline and stuff on Twitter. I go through my timeline, too, on Instagram, but I'm not, posting stuff all the time. But, yeah, I couldn't live without my cell phone.
What's your favorite submission?
I don't have, a favorite one. For me, it's, I have, a least favorite, which is probably, guillotines. I just hate guillotines and rear naked chokes. It might sound, weird, but for me, it's those two moves. Anybody can do it. Even an untrained person, they know how to wrap the arm around somebody's neck and choke somebody out. So for me, those are just two least favorites, just because anybody can do it. They don't have to train anything. They don't have to be specialists to make those moves happen. But everything else for me, it's a favorite. If I get a leg for me, if the guy taps out, that's a good move. If I get an arm, the guy taps out, that's a good move. But besides rear naked and guillotine, for me, everything else is a good move.
As of right now, what do you consider the best moment of your mixed martial arts career?
I don't know, every time people ask me that question, it's hard for me to give an answer for that one. Because I believe that, they're all, everyone was important, even lost, some of them were important. So it's one of those things, I don't believe that I really had, a best moment. Yeah, I'm going to always be looking for that. I do have two fights that I really, enjoyed fighting, that were, most of my fights I enjoyed fighting. Except for the first one. The first ones I was just fighting for money, and I wasn't even making much money. But compared to jiu-jitsu, I was making money. So the first two fights I was just doing to do it. But then after, once you start really falling in love with the sport, then everything was enjoyable. But there are two fights that I really had so much fun fighting, which was against Jason Bruce, which went 4 rounds. And that fight was so I had submissions locked, and I just you were so sleepy that you would get out. But then again, you just kept fake punches, kicks, and takedowns, and same positions on the ground. So that was a fun fight to fight. Another one that I would say that was pretty cool too was when I defended the title for M1, which threw head kick. Then after I finished the punches, that was probably the first that was my last actually TKO in a fight. So it was actually pretty cool. Those are the two fights that I probably feel the most memorable. Everything else they're all important somehow. Even this last one, like I said, I wasn't happy with the fact that I won the decision. But, it was cool that I got to, fight standing and not losing the fight standing up. So, they're all important, somehow. But those two, the M1 title defense, the one against Jason Bruce, are probably, the coolest one that I had.
What would you rather be? Would you rather be the best fighter in the world, or would you rather be the highest paid fighter in the world? What means more to you, glory or wealth?
Probably the highest paid, man. You have to be honest with about certain things, how does it matter if you're the best fighter in the world but you're broke? It makes no sense. But then again, if you think about it, mostly there's a big chance that being the best fighter in the world, you're going to be super make money. So it's a trick question, but I would say if you can just pick and you got to go to the quick thing, I would say probably the wealthiest fight in the world.
Do you have any regrets, whether they're personal or professional?
Probably have many, but professional, what I really regret about this, especially about my MMA career, was the fact that I didn't take it seriously at first. It was one of those things I jumped in. I never thought about how bad it is for the stage to have losses in MMA, and I never thought about you fight. It's not like jiu-jitsu. In jiu-jitsu, you go there, you lose a couple turns, but then you win the world. If you feel a world champion, nobody's going to be questioning your abilities. Now in MMA, you have a couple losses bad, have 5 losses really bad, and have more than that you're horrible. So it's one of those things. If I could, I want to decide to make a transition from jiu-jitsu to MMA. If I could, I would have first off some amateur fights. So I could use the whole mixing things up. I would actually have realized that I had to do much more than just jiu-jitsu. I would have realized early that I had to train every other style, not just jiu-jitsu. And I would have jumped in so early in the UFC, because that was the whole thing too.
when I jumped into when I got an Ultimate Fighter, I was doing nothing but jiu-jitsu. Even training, I was doing nothing but jiu-jitsu training. And then I think it was like 3 weeks prior to the trials. There were guys in my in a team class trying out for the show, which was Christoph Zazinski. And then I heard that he was going to try out. I was like, yeah, I want to try out too. But I wasn't trained like a professional fighter, you know. But then I was like, well, you know, I might as well just start to spar now. So 3 weeks before the trials, I start to spar. Nobody was holding back for me. I was doing nothing but just light training. And the rest would be just jiu-jitsu. So then I go there, and I make it all the way to the final just like doing jiu-jitsu. But then I realized that, you know, then I go there and get knocked out by Vinny and realize that, you know, things are not going to be, you know, you're not in 1993 anymore, you know, where you could have just pull guard and finish people off the back. So, if I could, I would just, like, try to start everything, like, you know, the right way. And I believe that, you know, if I was smart enough, like, you know, how I believe I am now about my career, I would have, like, you know, just handpicked fights. I would have gone, like, 11-0 or something. And then, from that point on, I could have just started fighting tougher guys. But no, I just started to jump in, like, you know, not being a mixed martial artist. I started jumping, like, straight to the professional level. And I jumped in, like, too early into, like, fighting the UFC. So, you know, all those things that could change, I would change. But, you know, I cannot change anymore, so I have to deal with it and just try to make things better from now on.
Best advice you were ever given through life, and best advice you were ever given through fighting, and who gave it to you?
I give best advice. Like, you're probably going to hear in every single fight, just keep your hands up. It's like, that's the one that always works, I believe. And I hear that one all the time. Like, you know, every time I'm fighting, like, hey, man, just make sure your hands are up. Don't get lazy, things like that. I think that works for every single fight. It's going to always work, so for every single fighter as well.
If you could go on a $1 million shopping spree at any store, what store would you go on that $1 million shopping spree at?
One store only?
Yeah.
One store only, let me see here. Probably Best Buy. Oh, Best Buy, but the thing is, most likely I'll buy everything like at Best Buy that I could with $1 million, and then I would have to sell some stuff so I could buy it at the United stores. Because, you know, they're pointless. I don't know what I could really buy, like, for $1 million, like, you know, a Best Buy that I wouldn't need, like, that much money.
Some people are afraid of spiders. Some people are afraid of the dark. Some people are afraid of heights. What are you afraid of?
You just say truth for me. Like, I'm afraid of heights. Like, if I just think about it, let's say, if I just, like, close my eyes and I just think of me being, like, at the edge of a building, I would probably just start to, like, freak out a little bit. Literally, like, it just happened just like that. And dark, too. But that was actually, like, I used to. Like, not anymore, but up to when I was, like, 13, 14, I used to be afraid of the dark. So if I had to go, let's say, if I had to, like, go downstairs to get water or something like that, I would have turned all the lights on, and it would suck for me to go back upstairs with turn the lights off. So that was up until I was 13. I was afraid of the dark. And heights is just something that I deal with, but then again, I don't have to really deal with because I don't go anywhere that's, like, you know, that's going to cause me that fear.
What's the best thing that ever happened to you?
Probably my family. My kids were born, that was probably the best thing. That set me straight, you know, it's one of those things that I was somehow responsible, but it's not like, you know, I was not a, like, trouble guy, but anything like that. But definitely having the kids, like, made me a lot more responsible, you know, with everything, like, you know, money, like, you know, my career. So I think having my kids was actually probably the most important thing that happened to me. What's
the worst thing that ever happened to you?
Injuries, bad contracts, all kind of stuff. I mean, there's always something. There's always something. Well, I lost my dad, too, when I was 6 years old. That's probably bad. That's a serious thing. And everything else, you know, bad things happen, but, you know, it's always good to deal with it, so.
What's your pet peeve?
I think I have one. I do have one. And, like, you know what's, like, really, like, bothers me? I can just, like, see right now, when the houses I'm at, like, when the kids just, like, have, like, toys everywhere, and I'm just looking around, I just see this right now. And as soon as I hang up, like, with you, I'm just going to just, like, go off with my kids. It's one thing that sometimes I just get back from the gym, and I just think, how can I, like, see, like, toys everywhere, like, you know, like, there's upstairs, like, on the floor downstairs, like, everywhere. It's like, they have, like, their own playroom, and then I look around, like, there are toys everywhere. You don't have to have toys everywhere.
Let's say you found a magic lamp, and you rubbed that magic lamp, and a genie appeared, and the genie said he was going to grant you 3 wishes. What would those 3 wishes be?
I can make that right now. First, I'll fill up my hands so I don't have to wait until October to fight. That's one. That's gonna have to take. I don't know. Maybe like take all the losses out of my record and put a 0 there. What else? Probably get back on time. Like that's something that I have to do, so I can just compete in jiu-jitsu a little bit more, win world titles as a black belt, and then move to MMA the right way, not the way I did.
Person you look up to the most?
Trick one. Like as a professional, like Dan Henderson, definitely. He was the guy who got me started in MMA. So definitely. By the way, he's fighting this week, and he's not, right? The whole thing with Machida just went down, and he's not.
Yeah, they canceled the fight with Machida, and now he's going to fight at UFC 199 against Hector Lombard. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. Which what's funny? They trained us together when I was at Team Quest. Hector was training with us, so they have each other's numbers. So yeah, like as a professional, probably Dan Henderson, he's like a great friend, and who's the guy who got me started in MMA. The very first guy who actually ever rocked him in training, and that was literally my very first day ever, like wearing like boxing gloves. It was almost like let's just test this guy out, see if he can take a punch. Then it throws the H-bomb right to my face. And he didn't knock me out or anything like that, but I just saw everything like spinning around. But I still love the guy. He's like freaking awesome. And then I asked about my mom. Like she went through a lot of stuff to allow me to train jiu-jitsu and pretty much make myself a fighter. It's one of those things. I don't like to be like most Brazilian guys. I like to tell sad stories, but it's pretty much it. She kind of didn't do a lot of stuff for herself, so she could have done it for me. So she's the person I look up the most. I'll probably do the same for my kids, though.
Time period you'd like to go back and visit, and why?
I want to go back to the locker room that I was last week and say, be careful, don't throw that right hand so you don't break your hand.
I knew that was coming.
You didn't have to go too far back.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew it was going to be fight related. I thought for a minute there we might get like, I want to go back to the samurai days, or I want to go back to Egypt and see how they built the pyramids, or I want to go back to the 20s or the 30s. I knew it was going to be somewhat fight related with you. What's your hidden talent?
I do have one. Just don't know what it is. It's hidden. I don't know. I can play other sports. People don't know. It's volleyball, like I'm pretty decent. Basketball, like if I train, it's one of those things. If I play basketball, like just let's say I haven't played like years. So if I try to go for a game today, I'm just gonna, look like crap. But give me like a 2 weeks of training, then I start to look decent again. So like that's one thing that I can do. And that's a sport that actually I was playing when I was in the Army. That was my way not to have to do the hard work, was playing basketball for the team. So that's one thing that I can do. I feel like sport related, but not fighting related.
Number one thing on your bucket list?
Right now, it's win that belt. It has to be fight related. It has to be. After the belt, I don't think I'm going to make out the plans, but for now, it has to be done.
If you could change one thing about the world, what would you change and why?
About the world? Even though I'm not really like kind of like a patriot person, I would change the way things are in Brazil right now. It's like, even though I'm being honest, I shouldn't care much. I don't live there. The economy there changes like nothing in my life, but does change like the lives of people that I love. So if I could change something, I would change like the way things are in Brazil. Everything is a mess there. Like it's like corruption. Like everybody's corrupted there. It's not just like I don't know if you're like following the news in Brazil. Mm-hmm. But there's about to happen impeachment for the president. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just thinking, well, they're going to kick this lady out, and they're going to bring somebody else that's going to be just as corrupt as her. So, if I couldn't change anything in the world, it would be actually in Brazil. Mm-hmm. Just change like the corruption and all that.
Vinny, last question. Let's say you were on death row and about to be executed. What would your last meal be? And I need an entree, a dessert, and a beverage. What would your last meal be?
All right, let's go with appetizer first, because I want to make this long.
Okay.
All right, appetizers, probably like fried calamari, and then entree would have chicken alfredo. So, chicken alfredo. So we have that. Dessert, probably like a whole cheesecake, and then I would not just let this guy just kill me like that. I would just try to fight as hard as I could to at least like wait for another like 2 minutes. Oh, it's funny, like, saying that, like, that's what, I was just thinking the other day, I was just watching those, like, four videos of people getting shot and all that, and they were just like, man. Some of the guys are tied up and all that, but I was just thinking, man, some of these guys are not, and they just stay on their knees and don't even try to fight back. I mean, they're not going to die. At least try to fight, for your life. One of them just sitting there and just accept it. Like, dude, I don't think I would go that way. I know, I was like, I'm never going to die, but I'm going to at least try to fight for my life for 2 extra seconds. Oh, to drink? Well, I forgot. Yeah. So, Dr. Pepper. So pretty much I'm getting all the stuff that actually make me sick. But anyway, so I might as well just, like, just die, like, having that feeling that just eat whatever you shouldn't be eating.
Vinny, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you want to say to the fans?
Yes, I do want to thank my sponsors, like WSOF. They've been, like, one for, like, over a year and a half now, which it makes it great, how it is, supplements are expensive. I don't have to worry about that. Plus, I get tested out and stuff. They fight, they've been sponsoring for my last 2 fights, and they like to sponsor me against my title fight. I had Bruce the same deal, they did my last 2 fights, and they like me to do work with me for the next fight. Lud Wire, she's been my sponsor for like a few years now, and, same thing. She said her plan is to keep sponsoring me for the rest of my career, so it's just super awesome. And my teammates at Syndicate MMA, you for the chance for the interview, and all people that support me, and all the people that actually don't support me either, I actually enjoy it, but actually go to my social media and talk that to me. Because I just believe that, if somebody's actually, like, taking their time to, like, say something to you, it's almost like, well, you're doing something in their lives. You might not be the best way, but you are, you're making them pay attention to you. You are doing something, to catch their attention. So, I don't mind those people either. So even those people, like, I just want to say hello to everybody, even the people that don't like me. And definitely, like, better hello to people that like me.
Vinny, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it.